Hi, how is everyone doing today? This is Amy Hamilton, author of The Project Manager, Life is a Project, and today we are going to be discussing Waterfall versus Agile Project Management. Looking to see if anyone is following so far, and in addition to that, if you have comments, just like the last time we did one of these sessions, I will be reading in the comment box to see what kind of questions you guys have and any feedback you guys have, and want to make sure that I am getting you guys the information that you need to be successful. So I'm going to talk about an article that was written recently versus a Waterfall versus Agile. And the first thing I want to talk about is Waterfall methodology. If you are studying for your PMP examination, I only want you to focus on Waterfall methodology. This is what you need to pass the exam. So we'll be doing some sessions later on where we're going to focus really on what you need to be successful for the Project Management Professional Examination through the Project Management Professional Institute. So let's go ahead and get started with Waterfall. A lot of times when people hear the word Waterfall project management, they put that together with traditional project management. And when you're talking about Agile is something that came about later on. So we're going to focus right now on just Waterfall. And what does this mean to you? When you look at Waterfall, this is your detailed project management plans. When you're studying for the PMP, this is the 5 phases for every project. So you want to know the initiating phase and the processes that go into that initiating phase. In addition to that, you want to make sure that you are tracking to your planning phase. And the planning phase is a lot of what people think about when they're thinking about project management. And this is what we do on a day-to-day basis. The phase after the planning phase is then going to be when you're in the execution phase. And when you're in your execution phase, this is where you're making the project happen. And as a project manager, this is where you want to make sure that your time and your cost is running according to what you planned it to be. And the monitoring phase. This happens concurrently a lot of times with the execution phase. And when you're looking at this phase here, you are looking at your SV and you are making sure that your schedule variance, your cost variance, all those things are on track. And this is when you're reporting these reports back into your project sponsor or board or whoever it is that you're accountable for. In addition to that, then you have your closing phase. And the closing phase is the last of the 5 phases of traditional project management. And a lot of times people rush this, but this can be one of the most critical phases of project management. You really need to make sure that you're taking that time and that you capture the lessons learned from that project so that you're not repeating any mistakes the next time. But also people forget there's good things that happen. There's things that you learn on a project and you say, wow, that really went well. I need to repeat that. This is something that I would like to do again. Check in the comments. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me okay on the audio. We've had some audio problems in the past, and I haven't had any complaints so far on this one. So it looks like everything's good. Now that we've kind of talked about the 5 phases of project management, I want to talk a little bit about the Waterfall characteristics. One of the things about Waterfall is it's very deliberate project management. And what do I mean by that? It means that you're going to have the detailed timelines. You're going to start off with your project scope, and you're going to very clearly say, this is the cost, this is the schedule, and this is what we expect to get out of it, that product, if you will, or the value. And you're really going to get that straight from the beginning. You're going to look at who are all the people involved in that project from the beginning, and you're going to be able to that detailed project charter. Once you have the project charter defined, then you're going to build that project plan. And the project plan, this is the Gantt charts. This is where you're putting your resources to it. You can go into like a level 5 WBS. A WBS, for those of you who are studying for the PMP, this is your work breakdown structure. And this is where you are looking at every single detailed task. And you really want to make sure that this is what you are doing for your tasks. You're putting those together in the details, and that you know, like, here's the person from our engineering department who's going to be working against that task, and you can assign all your resources. Maybe you have a really large project and you're going to get some outside vendors. This is what you want to do. You want to pull those outside vendors in. The next thing that you want to look at is all the different processes that you are going to need. So when you look at the project management professional examination, this is when you want to pull together your change management processes, your communication management processes, your risk management processes, and you want to look at every single one of these in detail. So when you look at risk management, what are you willing to accept for risk? How much risk is your company willing to accept? What about change management? What things are automatic that you as a project manager can control? What things need to go to a higher level board? And communications management. Who do you need to give this information to? What format? Can it just be a phone call? Does it have to be something in writing? Is there a report that you have to generate? These are all the things that you have to do in Waterfall. Very, very detailed. In addition, what you want to do is you want to look at the team member roles. Who is going to be on your project team? Are they going to be dedicated project members? Or are they going to be matrix project members? We talked recently about working in a matrixed organization. That can be very challenging and difficult. Whereas what we're talking about today is the methodology of it. We're not going to get into details on those communication management plans. But then the other aspect is, what are the dependencies? So as you're building out that traditional waterfall chart, what has to happen before the next thing happens? And those of you who are studying for your project management professional examination, what is the critical path? What is the backward pass? What is the forward pass? And how do you make sure that everything on your critical path is going to get done? So this is really, really detailed. When you're talking waterfall project management, this is your traditional, what you're going to study for your project management examination. The other part that we're going to look at is Agile project management. And I don't know if we have anyone out there who's done Agile project management methodology. Is Agile project management. And I don't know if we have anyone out there who's done Agile project management methodology. So what I am looking for in the feed is if anybody has done Agile, because Agile is normally done specifically for when you're doing software development. That's where it came from. But some people are using Agile project methodology in other types of projects. But it's normally used when you're doing coding, when you're doing software development. That's the only time I've ever used it. I've never used it for like a hardware installation or anything like that. It's always been for coding when you're looking at software. And the reason it came about is software can be messy when you're building it. And sometimes you can just build software in small packages and get it out to a user quicker. And this is really important if you're doing app development. So if you're going to be doing applications, like when you look at Facebook, for example, when Facebook first rolled out Live, it was really a mess and you had to use a third-party integration software and you had to schedule live in advance of the session. But now Facebook Live is just a button, you click on it. So they really did that Agile rollout where they created it, they got it out there, they found out users really liked this, then they improved on it, and then they got it back out there. And now Facebook Live is a really great tool as opposed to what it was in the beginning. So Agile has a lot of flexibility. In addition to that, it has very short durations and what they call project spirals. So when you're looking at Agile methodology, it's going to start with spiral 1, spiral 2, spiral 3, and each spiral is called a sprint. And your sprint starts and it stops. And normally it's only like about 2 weeks at the most, or a very short amount of times. The other thing is you get your project members together at the start of each day, maybe just a quick like 15-minute meeting, and the roles are a lot more flexible than they are in traditional waterfall methodology. So these are some of the things that you want to consider. And if you have to make a change in a sprint, it's not as costly as making a waterfall. And your dependencies can be a lot messier, if you will. They're not as clearly defined when you have that traditional waterfall methodology where you know the critical path, you know the backward pass, the forward pass. When you are looking at an Agile project, you might have something come out in one sprint and then something else come out completely different in the next sprint. So that's kind of the overall difference between the two. So when you're looking at, are you going to choose waterfall, which is that traditional project methodology, or are you going to look at Agile? You need to figure out which one's going to work best in that case. So like I said, most of the time, if you're using Agile, it's going to be software, but some people have started to use it in other situations. One of the things you want to look at is regulation. So where you're at, is there a regulatory requirement for a project plan? If you are in construction management, you are not going to be using Agile methodology. If you are in construction, it is going to be traditional project methodology. There's no other way to do it. You have to build the foundation to that house or to that building, and then you have to move up. You're not going to have a lot of changes. A lot of times Agile really is going to work on things that you can just kloosh together. Another thing for that is the interdependencies with other projects. So you want to look at everything in a big picture. You want to look at the possibility is, can you break this down into these small Agile teams, or is this a team that everybody needs to come together? What about your sponsor? If you cannot get your sponsor to buy in, there's no way you're going to go to Agile. And a lot of it is educating the sponsors on what is Agile, what does it mean to be doing an Agile project? Is the organization comfortable with it? And is the organization willing to bring in coaches and to train the team? Because that's a lot of the questions that your management's going to have. So we've covered a lot in this short session on both Waterfall and Agile methodologies. And now what I'd like to do is open it up to some questions. So I am looking for some feedback here. I see a lot of thank you, so thank you guys very much. And I would really like to thank Saeed and the entire team who have just been really wonderful. What we've decided, and I heard some people saying, hey, they didn't know about this, is this is going to be every first and third Monday at 18:30 CET. We did put this out as an event, and we'll make sure that we keep announcing these as events. And what I'll do is write an article and get that approved, and I'll be out there about a week before. We'll do a teaser trailer again, and then we'll go into the next one. One of the things I want to talk about in the future is going to be RACI and swim lane diagrams. How can you use these things together, and how can you make sure that your communications is the best possible handoffs? That's something that I really want to focus on for the next one. I'm also interested in what you guys want to hear about. I've had some people come to me and say, hey, I'm really interested in passing the project management professional examination. I don't have the PMP. And some people have even said that they have failed the PMP, which is a real shame. And I want to work with you guys on that and make sure that you know how to pass the examination. I've had people say that they're very interested in the different aspects in the planning phase. So how do you do risk management? How do you do change management? How do you do communications management? So these are all things that we're going to be addressing. So I really, really would like to thank Saeed, the entire project management team, for having me here as a contributor. It's been fantastic. I'm looking at your comments now. If you have a question, I'll give it about 1 minute before I sign off. And just to remind you guys, this is going to be every other week at 18:30 CET. You can also follow me on my Facebook page. That's Amy Hamilton, and my website is amyshamilton.com, and I am the author of The Project Manager, Life is a Project. I really would like to thank you guys so much. I don't see any questions, and next time I come back to talk to you, we're going to talk about how can you use RACI matrices with swim lane diagrams and the benefits of using the two together as part of your overall communications management plan. Thank you guys so much, and I look forward to next time we're going to be talking.